Hi, good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I'm grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. What is the difference between recognition and appreciation? Nobody would know this better than Mike Robbins. I listened to his TED Talk recently while I was working out, and it really impacted me. You know, he talks about being recognized since he was a little boy because of his skills in baseball. And as he made it to the Kansas City Royals, he says, you always get recognized when you do a good job, or you get recognized at the end of the year, or recognition constantly happens. He says, but nobody knows the effect of how fleeting recognition is. He said, when a manager walks out, he said, after I had just given up 7 runs in 2 innings, and he walks out and yanks the ball from my mitt, and I walk off alone into the dugout. He said, when you really think about it, recognition is finite, it is scarce, and it's usually only based on performance. He said, I really wanted nobody would sit by me, I was completely left alone. What I would like is somebody to come sit down next to me and say just how much they appreciate me. Just talk to me for who I am. Not make it about what I've done, but make it about who I am. See, appreciation is much more expansive. It's less about less about what you do and more about who you are. There was a study done, Mike brought this up, a study done that was done by the Department of Labor on employees that had left their workplace. And in that survey, 64% of them, 64% said it was because they were not appreciated. They weren't valued. Wow, that's a huge number. The Berkeley School of Business, the Haas School of Business, they did a study where they concluded that if you recognize the employees, in other words, recognize them for their performances, that their productivity actually increased 23% just by recognizing their performance. And as managers, we always think we recognize their performance. But when they appreciated them for who they are, the proverbial pat on the back, literal or otherwise, and acknowledged who they were and that they valued them and appreciated them, productivity went up 46%. That's a 20% increase. 20% increase. If that's true in the workplace, what's it like in our homes? What's it like with our coworkers? What's it like with our colleagues? What's it like with our siblings? What's it like with our partner, our marriage? Are we appreciating enough? 5 years ago, Lori and I were traveling to a business meeting, and we happened to be traveling through the town that my father lived in. My father, in my memory, never really said any complimentary words to me. Very few if he did. I remember when he said, "Hey, Hot Rod." That was a journal entry. I still remember it to this day. But he was a hard worker, and he was honest, and I worked alongside of his sites. I learned so much. But as we came in there, he pulled me aside and sat down in his den and said, "Lee, I have something that I've been wanting to tell you for a long time." And I said, "What's that, Pop?" And he said, "Well, son, thank you. Thank you for who you are, and thank you for everything that I've learned from you." And I said, "Pop, thank you. Thank you for everything that you've taught me. Thank you for allowing me to work at your side and see the hard worker you are and the integrity and honesty that you have." And that was a moment, as I got in the car with Lori, I said, "That was weird." I said, "It was such an amazing experience. I feel like I've just had closure with my dad." Well, that was on a Monday. On Wednesday, we got a call saying he had had a cluster stroke. A week later, he passed away. Now, I'm grateful for 2 things. One, I'm grateful that he was able to express to me his appreciation for me and who I am. And secondly, it gave me the opportunity, because I thought about it, I don't believe if I'm critical of him, he could be critical of me. Because it gave me the opportunity to express my appreciation for him. What a blessing. Now look around you. Look around you. Who are those people that you appreciate, that you haven't just told them how much you appreciate them? Reach out to them. Reach out to one. And John Robbins gave us a suggestion. He says, first of all, the first thing you do is you look for someone. Look for someone that you can appreciate and share that with. Secondly, see if you can develop a system around it. Make it part of your routine. Put it in your day timer, whatever, so daily you can look for it. And he says the third thing is receive gratitude graciously. Receive appreciation graciously. How many of us, when somebody came up to you and said, oh, you did a really good job. Thank you for doing that good job. And you go, oh, it was nothing. We're downplaying their gratitude. If we can't learn to receive compliments graciously, then it's very difficult for us to give compliments graciously. So be aware when somebody says, you did this really good, or that was really done, or thank you. Just say thank you to them. That's all you have to say, then shut up. Thank you empowers the gratitude that they gave, and both of you feel better. When you acknowledge that and say thank you, they get a jolt of dopamine and serotonin, and you get a jolt of dopamine and serotonin. So it's my challenge for this week. Look for somebody that you can appreciate that's in your life. Let them know that. Reach out to them. Have a wonderful week. I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye-bye.